want to share a theory I have about the Minnesota Vikings. It's in development. It's a work in progress. I'm letting people in on my idea early, and I hope that people are not too angry and critical. It's going to happen. I know that's the job. But I think it's an interesting topic of conversation. I want to put it out to the world, start having the conversation. We'll see how things, play out. But I'm starting to wonder if Mike Zimmer might be the problem with the Minnesota Vikings. Remember, Mike Zimmer is the head coach of the Vikings, and I want to start by saying that I really, really respect Zimmer as a defensive coach. He's a literal genius. When I watch film of the Vikings, again, the word I would use is genius. He's a great, great defensive coordinator, and there are so many times where I'm watching Minnesota's defense, and he designs a quarterback pressure that you can't stop. There's nothing you can do. It's a great delayed blitz or a well-designed pass rush that it's hidden or you can't see it. It's well-disguised. And the Vikings are so good at everything. I mean, really, their technique is flawless. And they have guys who are regularly in the right spot. And I know that when I watch film and go, I don't have an answer for that defense, that's just a good win by them. And I've seen that multiple times where Minnesota just wins. They make plays on defense where you go, there's no right answer there. And that's horrifying. When you're a quarterback and you go, even when you play back the film, you can watch it 11 times. The defense did everything right. There's nothing you can do. And the Vikings get that grade on film more than any team I've seen in the NFL where I go, there's just nothing to do with the football. There's no one open. They answered every solution you have. You got to just throw the ball away or take a sack. And it's incredibly frustrating, I imagine, to play Mike Zimmer because I watch film and I go, there's nothing there. And I have no idea what statistics or numbers say about Mike Zimmer's defenses, but I know that when I watch film, I see that Mike Zimmer is an elite defensive coordinator. He's phenomenal. He's one of the best in the NFL. Here's the problem. He's an amazing defensive coordinator, but you want to keep Mike Zimmer away from the offense. Mike Zimmer almost has this belief that throwing the football, that his offense throwing the football, let me clarify, he has this belief that throwing the football is something to overcome, like an obstacle rather than a helpful tool or a weapon that can be used with deadly effect against the other team. He's a very conservative, defensive-minded head coach. And defensive-minded head coaches, they've got weird relationships with quarterbacks already where they often are frustrated. They hate when guys have turnovers. And a guy like Mike Zimmer's philosophy is deeply rooted in a desire to run the football. I want to ask, why does it seem like Minnesota can never get the quarterback position right? They've had a lot of guys over the years, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, Christian Ponder. There's names I'm forgetting too. There's a lot of guys. They've had a lot of bodies in and out of Minnesota over the years. And it's very possible that it's just because there's not a lot of good quarterbacks out there. That's fair. But they've also had a lot of offensive coordinators come in and out of Minnesota over time. And the only constant in this offensive frustration the Vikings have had, the only constant is Mike Zimmer. And I know you're like, he's a defensive coach. How could that be? But first of all, again, you want to keep him away from the offense because his philosophy can put handcuffs on your play calling and on your play design. But Mike Zimmer should not have any influence over the offensive side of the ball. He's a defensive guy, stick to defense. The problem is, as a head coach, he's always going to be involved. You can't just tell him. If he was a defensive coordinator, you could say, Mike, worry about the defense. Do your thing. You're the best in the world at it. Go do your job. Go do defense. But as a head coach, he's the guy hiring offensive coordinators. He's the guy signing off on everything. And he's got these beliefs where he's, on my team, we're going to run the ball or, blah, 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 blah. Not on my team. We're not doing X, Y, Z. He's limiting. He's holding them back. And Zimmer is this amazing defensive coordinator. Again, elite. I really think he's one of the best in the NFL. But the Vikings can't demote him to defensive coordinator and hire a better head coach that can oversee the offense and the defense. And unfortunately, and this is very brutal and maybe a step too far, but I don't see any other answer here, where it might be that the only way to make progress on offense for Minnesota is to get rid of Mike Zimmer. And I know that's controversial. I know that's what? Because Mike Zimmer, again, I think he's more respected in the NFL than he is by fans of the NFL. But Mike Zimmer is an incredible defensive coach. However, an awful tough reality is that at some point in today's NFL, you have to have a great offense. Having a great defense isn't enough. You have to score points. And you have to have, a lot of, I guess what I'm saying is the Vikings need innovation on offense. And I don't think they're ever going to get innovation on offense with Mike Zimmer as their head coach. And every coach seems to have a weakness. I remember with Cliff Kingsbury in Texas Tech, his problem was recruiting. He couldn't recruit to save his life. This is Mike Zimmer's weakness. And the only way I see to solve it is to get rid of him, unfortunately. And that would mean letting a really good coach walk out of your doors. But there might be no other way forward other than that. So you might have to, that's the kind of the tagline here, you might have to get rid of Mike Zimmer. And I don't like that. Doesn't feel good. But sometimes to get better, you have to make a cut that is hurtful and hard. Is hurtful a word? I don't know. But I don't like saying that about Mike Zimmer. I respect Mike Zimmer a ton. But the Vikings offense needs help. And I don't know that they can make progress on Mike Zimmer as their head coach in Minnesota.